Hi, Tom Rankin from Sense. We tend to think of the Feldenkrais method as some type of movement therapy, but it's really much more than that. As Moshe Feldenkrais once said, "I'm not after flexible bodies. What I'm after is flexible brains." It's a very intriguing statement. What's a flexible brain? How do you get a flexible brain? What's a flexible brain good for? How will the Feldenkrais method help make your thinking a little more flexible? A good real world example is getting up and down from a chair. So let's explore that. Many years ago, we pretty much perfected the movement of getting up out of a chair. And at this point, it's habitual. We can do it without really thinking about it. For most people, the idea of getting out of a chair is getting up. And we think about getting up by bringing the head upward out of the chair into a standing position. And if you look carefully, you can see that by starting and lifting the head up, you can see that the neck has to work and the low back has to do a lot of work in order to bring ourselves up into the standing position. Most of the time that works fine, but there may be moments where you're injured or you have pain issues, and it's a struggle. It's a struggle and very difficult to get up out of a chair. If your brain is inflexible, you only have one way of doing. And that means if it's not working, you're stuck with a very painful and difficult way every time you have to get out of a chair. But let's say our friend Bones here has been taking Feldenkrais classes and he's developed a flexible brain, and his habitual way of getting up is no longer working for him. Well, he thinks, well, maybe there's another way I can do this. Maybe I can reverse engineer getting out of a chair. So the next time I sit down, I can do it slowly and pay attention to what I'm doing. And I sit back and I kind of bring my head and torso forward. And then I move into my sitting position. So what would happen if I lean my head and torso forward and reverse the movement to come back to stand? Is this way better? Or he may be thinking about one of the Feldenkrais principles, which is equal and opposite. My head and my pelvis are like the two heaviest areas of my body. So what if I decided to just use the lowering of my head to help lift up my pelvis? And then come to a standing position. And then I can lower my head to bring myself back. So as the head goes down, the weight of the head goes down, going down, helps the pelvis be lighter and be easier to lift upward. Maybe our friend wants to make this into a physics problem and figure out how to solve it. And he's thinking, well, my center of gravity is a bit above my pelvis, and my base of support is my feet. And right now, my center of gravity is big distance away from my feet. So that's going to make getting up really, really hard. It's going to put me in a difficult position. What if I move my center of gravity closer to my feet? Then I can move my feet a little closer to my center of gravity. Now I don't have as far to go. And then what I can do is I can think about hinging from the hip, so I can roll the pelvis forward and roll my pelvis right over to the base of support. And once I get the center of gravity over the base of support, I'm in a very good position, and it becomes much easier to move into the standing position. So again, bringing that center of gravity close to the base of support, hinging from the hip joint so the pelvis can roll forward off the chair, over the feet. And once your center of gravity is over the base of support, you're in a very biomechanically strong position to stand with greater ease. So that's just 3 ways that we can use, 3 choices that we can compare and contrast and find which one works best for us. That may make our lives a lot more pleasant and easier to do, and maybe it will be incentive for us to get up and do something with our lives.